Hi guys, I'm Ahana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be about how I started my career in my own venture-backed startup right out of university. And in my opinion, what the best university degrees are if you want a career in startups too. If you're interested, stay tuned. I studied physics at Imperial College London and I hated it. The truth is, when I started my physics degree, I wanted a career as an astrophysicist. Throughout school, I'd enjoyed most subjects, but physics was always my favourite. I'd always loved how you could explain things both quantitatively and qualitatively and really gain an understanding of the world around you. I found that really satisfying and also quite philosophical. However, quite early on in the degree, I started to enjoy things less and less. At the university level, it was quite different from school in the sense that it was a lot more mathematical and less conceptual. I've always been a conceptual learner, and I think this is why I found it really hard to acclimatise to this new way of learning. Although I still admire the subject, as I did back in school, I could never really see myself as an academic researcher. There were a couple of reasons why I couldn't really see myself in their shoes, but I think a big one was that the type of work you're doing is so niche and so advanced that even though it can be incredibly rewarding, it can also be quite isolating as it's not really dinner time chat. I'd always been the type of student who enjoyed doing a lot of subjects. I did the IB in school. I had to drop it in, Ben, stop laughing. One of my high level subjects was actually English literature. And so to be going from that to suddenly just doing maths and physics all day long, I didn't really enjoy that experience. There are definitely some personalities much better suited for a career in academia, but unfortunately, it just wasn't for me. And this was actually kind of hard to get over because I'd grown up thinking that this is what I'd become. But in any case, I took quite a proactive approach to then figuring out, alright, if research isn't for me, then what is? At the time, I really had no idea what to apply to, but being in London and having friends go into finance, a lot of people suggested applying to investment banks. I thought there was no chance of me getting an investment banking internship with a physics degree, but some of them did have tech internships. So even though I really didn't know much coding, and for reference, I really didn't know much coding, I think the only thing I could do was read a CSV file into Python and plot a straight line. But in any case, I applied and I was super lucky to actually get a spring internship with an investment bank in Canary Wharf. I really enjoyed this experience. It was really my first professional experience and I learned a lot about tech and finance. At the end of that spring week, I was very fortunate and converted that to a summer internship for the following year, so after my second year of university. And whilst I was really grateful for that experience and excited to see if my career could be in tech, the finance in the investment bank really interested me just because it was something that I knew very little about and I've always been a curious person. So in my second year, now feeling slightly empowered, I decided to apply for the investment banking internships, not in tech. Again, these were relatively short experiences, just a taster into what it's like to work in the investment banking division. I really enjoyed them, but I was in a situation where I had this tech summer internship coming up and I wanted to keep an open mind. So I went into my tech internship and although I learned so much from it, by the end of it, I just couldn't see myself in a tech career, which was kind of a bittersweet feeling because on the one hand, at least now I knew that this wasn't the right career for me and I could maybe rule it out. But on the other hand, I'd gone to uni, thought that physics is what I wanted to do, found it wasn't, then I tried tech and that also wasn't. But fortunately, I had done those investment banking internships earlier in the year and those provided an entry point into summer internships for the following summer, so the summer after my third year of university. I think that my physics degree really helped me in securing these internships, but also really helped with the job I have now running my own startup. I'm going to talk a bit about why I think physics degrees are so helpful if these are the career paths that you're interested in, and there are three main reasons. The first is that physics gets you used to bashing your head against a wall trying to figure out a solution to a problem. And even though it can feel painful while you're doing it, the skill of resilience is so important. The second reason is that physics gives you a great mental framework for problem solving. You're so used to solving problems all day long and you have this toolkit of mathematics to help you do it. Of course, in the real world, you're not necessarily going to be throwing equations at problems, but having applied this in the context of a physics problem, it can really help solving real-world business problems too. The third and perhaps most important reason is that you learn how to code. I mentioned that in my first year I'd only just started, but as the degree progresses, you learn more and more. And although for us it was just Python and primarily in a data analysis context, having that skill, going from 0 to 1, really helped when it then came to learning more coding languages and being self-reliant and being able to build your own app. Whilst physics is one of the strongest degrees I think you can have for a career, particularly in entrepreneurship, there are certainly other degrees that can serve you just as well. I mentioned that coding is quite an important skill to have, particularly if you want to start a tech startup. Of course, if you are solving a problem that requires a hardware or you're a biotech company, having domain-specific knowledge will always serve you well. But generally speaking, most startups these days have some form of software, and for that, you need someone that can code. The reason that I'd say that I still think physics was a better decision for me is because the hardest part of coding is going from no languages, no idea how to code, to learning that first one. Once you've learnt one language, it's easier to pick up more along the way. And of course, with a computer science degree, you will learn more than one language. But given that that's not the hardest part, at least in my opinion, I think that the amount you learn in physics is perfect. And whilst of course coding is an important skill, there are people out there who aren't technical and really don't enjoy that kind of thing. As I said, I didn't see myself as a software engineer, but had I not done a physics degree and forced myself to learn how to code, I wouldn't have been able to build my app, and I would have had a whole host of other problems because of that. While tech issues have been one of the major problems we faced, the other is managing people. And for that reason, I think degrees like psychology or management, where you understand interactions between people and how to incentivize and motivate and build a nice team dynamic, are so important, because you can be the most amazing software engineer in the world, but if you can't work in a team with other people, then that's going to make it a really difficult work environment and will probably result in less productivity had someone with slightly lower skills but better people skills taken that position. I think it's important to maintain some perspective on this issue though. The degree you have has some bearing on the skills you have and the experiences you'll unlock in the future, but there's many successful entrepreneurs that don't have any of the degrees I've mentioned. In my opinion, whether a degree is the right option for you or not, the best thing you can do if you want to run your own business is gain experience. The more you learn to maximize productivity in a team setting, the more effective you will be as an entrepreneur, because you'll always need people around you. Another skill that I'd say is very important in entrepreneurship is the ability to multitask, and to some extent you need to have an interest in a lot of different areas. For example, with my own experience in my startup, I've had to code, interview people, plan marketing strategies. I've had to do operational work like incorporating a company in a country where they still use fax machines and set up bank accounts. On the business side, I've had to make pitch decks, learn how to pitch to an investor, make a financial forecast, make cost breakdowns. And that's the thing I really love about this job, is that there is so much variety. But to thrive in this kind of an environment, you have to be very open to learning and able to learn quickly. And I'd say the final skill that's important to have is self-confidence. Startups are hard, and many people told me this before I embarked on this journey, and I didn't quite believe them until I tried it myself. And you will be told by people that they don't believe in your idea, you'll be told by customers that they don't like your product, and you have to learn how to navigate that and how to take things constructively and move forward. And you can only do that if you believe in yourself and in your idea. And that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you enjoyed this and want to see more careers related content, perhaps about some of the internships I did and why I made the career decision to go into startups, please comment down below and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.